And we can call the meeting to order with the roll call. I am here, and Laurie DiDonato, the chair.
Gillian Bedine.
Dan
Select
Kindler,
member.
select board member.
Right. So called the meeting to order at 7 p.m. And are there any announcements?
I think I have some, just pull this up. I think the only one I have is that there's a tree hearing that's been posted in the papers and around town, and it has the building name of Town Hall. It has the address of the town offices. So hopefully Cliff will put up a sign or something like that, but just so folks can be aware that that's getting sorted out.
Right.
For those of you
And is
that aren't aware of that tree hearing, if you rode from say the end of Farley Road up through Lock Hill, there's probably 50 or 60 trees that are tagged. So it's going to be quite an interesting hearing about the numbers, and all around the town common, there's a bunch of trees tagged. I don't know if they're talking about taking them down, but it should certainly we should be paying attention to that hearing.
Yeah, I've actually had people, or one person in particular, who will be requesting to not have some of the trees cut down.
I had a conversation with Cliff about that last week, and I still don't understand why they're all coming, why they're recommending that they come down. But there's a lot of, if you stand over by the library and look around, you can see 20 or 30 trees that seem to be affected by something, whether it's drought, disease, or who knows, contamination from road salt or something. But a lot of trees are being impacted around town.
I think it's the Dutch elm.
A lot maple trees too. It's not just the elm trees, but
And National Grid is the one taking them down, right? So this isn't a town expense, all this tree removal.
is it a town expense?
No,
Well, no, because somehow National Grid seems to be the one who's working with Cliff on this, I believe.
And I'm
Yeah,
having,
they sent the person to post the meetings, and they were the ones who posted the meeting in the newspapers and so on.
the road commission has something of an issue. There's two different crews that are working. One worked with Lewis tree cutting, and they're just dropping trees and leaving them on the side of the road. Whereas the people that are behind this hearing, it's a different crew, still National Grid, but they're committed to removing whatever they take down, which is good. Because otherwise, some of the trees, they're really huge logs, and I think they'll be in the way of, you know, they're obstacles for safety. If nothing else, to someone off the road a little ways, they run into a 24-inch wide log instead of running off in the grass. So I'm trying to have conversations with them about removing all of the trees they've taken down. And they're kind of implying that that's not their responsibility, but if they're taking them down, we're arguing a little. I think it should be their responsibility, but we'll work it out, hopefully.
well, and that's something we should make sure that Cliff is on board. Like, that might need to be a group conversation, because if Cliff is asking them to leave them for like the wood bank or something, then, you know, there needs to be I don't know that he is, but I think we do
Right.
need to have a unified approach.
Good
Right.
point. Yeah.
Okay. Any other announcements? All right, we'll move on to the public comment. Is there anybody from the public who has comments? I don't see any. So we can move on to select board updates. I realized that I could probably give it an update. We did with Colonial Power and the municipal aggregation, we did have to renew that contract and get a new rate for next year. And the rate we got was 22.8 cents or something in that vicinity for 1 year. So a huge jump, but they think National Grid is going to be at 28 cents. So hopefully we'll beat them at least for the winter months. And we'll have to go out and do it again next year. And hopefully the rates will have gone down by then. But just thought I'd let you all know that.
Thanks, Lori, for doing that. This sounds good.
Yeah. Any other updates from the select board?
No, not for me.
All right. So we can remind ourselves of the meeting and warrant schedule. I think we have a warrant next week. And then meetings on the 1st and 3rd. They don't really align for the next little while, the warrants and the meetings. All right, so next reports from the project coordinator. We've heard a lot from Phil tonight. You're gonna tell us all again, Phil.
Just tell me to be quiet anytime, Lori. It's okay. So we've talked a lot about we've talked about some of the projects. I think I'll just go through it since this is a different meeting, but we've discussed and I've made the decision that the roof for the highway barn, we're going to put that off till spring due to issues with the person that won the bid and not following through with the contracts, etc. The library, we have done the gutters, we've done the paving and the line painting, and we're getting bids for installing some in-ground drainage to carry the water away from the building as opposed to having it go up against the old stone foundation. Then once that's in place, we'll do the painting in the cellar. That's working along. The culvert has been delivered to Mormon Hollow.
Oh, wow.
I saw it there.
Yeah, exciting.
That's amazing.
Right on schedule for having that road opened up sometime, hopefully late October. Whether it'll be paved this year or not, I don't know yet, but that's getting close to the time when they shut down the paving plans. But if it's done early or before November, then chances are we'll get it paved this year too. The bridge down at Kentfield Road, we've had some interactions with neighbors. They were disappointed to see that the plans included paving over the decking. They wanted it more rustic looking. We've agreed to a wood frame bridge, wood railings, etc. And we've gone back to a non-paved deck. That means, and we're going to install what they call runners. Basically, they're boards that the contractor's going to install on top of the bridge, so that it just makes the plowing work better, and it removes the need for paving. In any event, there's a change order that's going to add about $6,000 to the cost, but it seems reasonable. Any change order adds cost to the project. They never take them away, but it's going well. I don't know when that bridge is supposed to be in, but that's going along pretty well. As I mentioned earlier, the police station is coming closer and closer to completion. The garage door is going in this week. We still do not have the mini splits, the heating systems, but we do have the back. We kept the oil burner and the oil tank in place, so we have heat there. So
Yeah,
that's
good.
yeah. So that's it's in good shape. We're going to do a finish painting next week, and basically they're cleared to move in. And I'm not sure how that's going to work out, but by the end of let's say by October 1st, they should be cleared to start moving furniture in.
Great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. So things are going on good. I think we're making some progress. I keep mentioning this $1.9 million that we have in the pot of money to spend. It's just a phenomenal amount when you think we only have 800 and something citizens in this town.
Yeah.
And but it just keeps reminding me why we're having inflation. There's an awful lot of money. This is just Wendell, and this happening in every community in the country, basically, that they're pushing money around. So
Yeah.
so let's keep it coming, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
What's that?
where did that 1.9 million come from?
It comes from us.
Well, we actually, and we have the, it comes from us originally, but we have a $500,000 grant for the Kentfield Road Bridge. We've got Chapter 90 money that, it's previous years plus FY23. So there's about $500,000 there. We have American Recovery Act money, probably around I'm looking at a list that I can't see without my glasses, Josh, but if you want more specific figures, I can get them for you. But the state has given us a couple earmarks. They've come up with a new fund called the Winter Recovery Act, which we didn't even know was there, and we got $154,000 for that one. So it's just been remarkable that we're getting all this money. So I don't know why it's happening. But we'll make do, huh?
There was a huge surplus. There was a surplus during the pandemic, actually, in the state budget, and then the American Rescue Plan Act. I mean, some of the funds are coming directly to us. Some of them are going through the state, and then the state has those to address issues they might have otherwise addressed. So yeah, that's coming in lots of different ways. And then I think you will see more because we're going to have a huge infrastructure money coming through the country, and Inflation Reduction Act and things like that. So
I mean, and part of that also, Josh, is there's a $500,000 grant that came in the middle of last year. That's for the Kentfield Road Bridge. So that's part of that number. That's a one-time thing. The Chapter 90 money is the state's fund, which they give to every city and town to repair roads and do infrastructure work. So that's an ongoing about $200,000 a year we get from the state. So project-wise, I think that's all I have to report. If there's any questions, I'm always happy to answer them.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you very much. And we won't be at meetings for a while, but you feel like things will be under control?
I do. We're
All
good.
right.
Thanks.
Great.
Bill, I do have a question. If there's like emergency road stuff, I usually contact you. Should I contact Alan?
Yeah, Alan's very good. He has his cell phone. I've never called him and not had him answer, even weekends and nights, and he's very agreeable.
Can we get that number? Is that somewhere we can find easily?
I'll email it to the select board. How's that?
All right, that's
That
great.
would be good. That'd be great. Thank you.
Phil,
Sure.
you sent it to me. Do you want me to send it to them to take that off your list?
Absolutely, thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, that's good.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, so we're all set with Phil. Next is Glenn. Any reports from you for the town coordinator?
sure. Let's see. First, I wanted to let you all know that Anna at a meeting a few weeks ago asked about getting minutes from our meeting. So I kind of went on a minutes inventory project and got all the ducks lined up in a row, gave copies to her, also uploaded everything to the website, put links in from our meetings. So the archiving of the minutes is going well. And hopefully, well, as of, you have drafts of everything, all the meetings up till tonight, so we're caught up in that regard. Cliff wrote today wondering about a letter of support for the wood project, so maybe we can discuss that under items not anticipated. I did ask if he might be able to attend tonight and answer some questions about it, but we could discuss that. I wrote to you all, I'm not sure if anyone knows about fines for illegal dumping. Someone had a concern about seeing some dumping going on and wanted to know if there was a way to find people for that. I didn't know anything about it or how to find out.
Did you check our bylaws book?
So look through the bylaws book and see if there's something in there about fines for dumping.
I actually think it would be a state law,
There is a
Okay.
state law.
and the state law should be enforced by the police department.
Okay, so they can have that person actually contact the police about
I think
enforcing
so.
it?
I think so.
Okay, great. Very helpful. Thanks. I have a question about the special town meeting and citizen initiatives and the process for that. If anyone has information on that, if you can let me know. I don't know if people get a certain number of signatures or who they need to submit them to and things like that.
Yeah, I think that is a town bylaw, and that's been changed in recent years. Anybody can bring a warrant article for a town meeting if they have 10 signatures from
Okay.
from registered voters. And that number has changed recently. I think it's been dropping consistently over the years, and now it's down to 10. But I do believe that's a town bylaw. And I also think that in recent years, the select board has on many occasions waived the requirement. If someone comes to the select board with a warrant article and it seems reasonable, we put it on without the signatures.
Okay, great. And if
And-
they do decide to go the signature route, do they submit those to the select board? In other words, to me, or do they bring them to the town clerk or?
The select board.
Anna might have some kind of form for with signatures. I'm not sure though. I mean,
Okay. I can check with her.
Actually, maybe just sending them to Anna is the right thing to do.
Oh, okay. I'll figure it out. Okay. That
Yeah.
gives
Been a
me some
while.
good leads. Thank you very much.
Because
guess
I do
that's-
think Anna handles all of that.
Okay.
Say, Glenn,
Mm.
I could revert back to my project report on that wood bank that you said that Cliff had asked about.
Yeah.
So I don't want to stay till the end of the meeting, but Dan and I have been discussing the land that is part of where Rats is located. There's actually 14 acres there, and I'm actually, now that we've got that grant or the earmark from the state for the capping, I'm going to put out to bid to have private contractors come in and build that road around the back, because it's very involved with big rocks and you need an excavator. But the point is that we're looking at extending that roadway out to the back of those 14 acres and finding a site for the wood bank. So just, you could have that information when Cliff, I think Cliff comes on, you're talking about the wood, if that's the same subject you were talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are exploring a new site for the wood bank, and that we'll have some information about that probably in the next month or so.
Yeah, I've been looking at sites for the wood bank, going through all the lists of town properties, and I keep coming back to the Rats, because number one, it's a site where a lot of noise wouldn't be bothersome. We've got a lot of little pieces that are next to neighbors and so forth, which might cause a problem in terms of having chainsaws going all the time. So we keep coming back to the Rats, and yeah, there's 14 acres there, and when there's a road around back, it looks like it could well be a good site for a wood bank.
great. Yeah, I think there's a lot of pluses there for that site.
That's all for town coordinator reports.
Thanks, Lynn.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so we're up to our consent agenda, which looks like it's approving lots of minutes from August 31st, tax classification, August 31st, regular meeting, September 6th, meeting with New Salem, and September 7th, regular meeting.
I
I'm
move
already-
we approve.
I'm already forgetting how we do the consent agenda.
I move we
Oh.
approve the consent agenda.
All right, I'll second. Any discussion on any of the minutes? All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I
All right, excellent, thank you. All right,
good to read back through all those minutes.
Yeah.
it was good. Yeah, I know. All right,
Guys work hard.
approval of 20D exemptions. I don't know what this is, so somebody else take it away.
Well,
Oh.
I spoke to the Ethics Commission about serving as a select board member and an assessor regarding conflict, and they recommended approving this exemption. So I filed for an exemption under 20D, which allows the select board to allow me to serve in both positions.
So I'll
Okay,
make a motion that we approve the 20D exemption for Dan Keller in his role as select board and assessor.
I'll second that. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank
Any
you.
abstaining?
Yeah, should I mark you as abstaining, Dan, I guess?
Yes, please.
Okay.
And we have another exemption for Jeff Budine.
Do you want me to explain that, Glenn, or do you have it?
I do not have it handy. If I think you understand the context more than I do.
So for Jeff Bodine is my husband, so I'm not going to vote on this, but Jeff is finance committee chair for and Wendell's representative for the Franklin County Tech School Committee. So he's a representative, but he's chair of the finance committee for the select board. I mean, sorry, for the school committee. So he also has completed an exemption request, and that's in the office to be signed by Lori and Dan.
I move we accept that exemption for Jeff Budine.
I'm sorry, can I make one other clarification?
Sure.
Part of it is that the business he works at is a vendor for Franklin County Tech. So that is actually why the request is being made.
Okay.
Okay. So I think Dan already made the motion. I'll second. Any other discussion?
I'll just say, the way I read the form, it looks like one person signed, so I have it in Lori's box to sign as chair for both of those.
Okay, great.
Okay, good. Thanks.
All in favor then?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining?
Gillian.
All right. Thank you. Okay, October 5th meeting. I think Glenn's going on vacation.
Yes, my husband and I are having an in-person celebration of our COVID Zoom wedding. And so
Nice.
just wanting to work out some logistics with you all. I will be away on Thursday, Friday, and Monday, the 29th, 30th, and 3rd. So normally I'll be asking for agenda items on the 30th and then posting the agenda on the 3rd. So, but let's see. Yeah, so not sure how we want to handle that. Want to designate someone, or do you want to try to get the agenda sorted out? I guess it would need to be sorted by the 28th, week from tonight. You will be meeting for the money managers either on Tuesday or Wednesday as well.
I would be okay getting it sorted out, but maybe one of us or I could post it on Monday just in case there's changes that come up. I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds good.
That sounds good. So like a sort of a final draft can be ready to go.
Yeah, I can
But if we
send,
need to add updates,
yeah, I can send a draft of the agenda items on Tuesday, and by email, we can see if you have other ones you want to add, and I can get a draft to Lori that she can have on hand to update before Monday the 3rd. Okay, thank you.
Sounds good.
Appreciate it.
Okay. And- Okay, so we talked about this a little. The next thing is financial coordinator vacancy. We talked about this a little bit in our money managers meeting. I think the main thing maybe what we can agree on is we need to talk with the finance committee to sort of get a feel for what's really needed, and if there's anyone there that might fill some of the need, or if we'll have to look elsewhere. Does anybody else have thoughts on that?
Well, my only thought is that we should barnstorm for people interested in the FinCom. Just see if we can think of anybody who might be really good on the finance committee, because I think they're going to need help.
Mm-hmm. Carolyn?
I'm just did I unmute myself? Yes, okay.
Yep, we
I
hear
was
you.
just wanted to reiterate that I think the pay for that position it's a little over $300 a month. So I don't know, it's like a 10 to 15 hour commitment, I would think, if it gets sold that way.
Okay.
But it is a tricky thing because we can't just advertise for it, really. We sort of need somebody who's very familiar with the town finances. Is that, am I right about that? So people feel like it's a position we could just go out and fill like any other, or we need to find someone who's already within the system.
Or familiar with the system.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Carolyn?
kind of feel like it should be somebody from within the finance committee.
Right.
Right. I think that was when this role was morphed into what it is now, I think that was the intention, that it was going to be someone from the finance committee would be filling it.
Yeah.
And because if you're going to look at it as just any other town position, then it needs to be advertised and blah, blah, blah. And I suppose, there's somebody could from the outside come in and have fresh eyes and look at everything. And that's not the worst thing in the world. It just seems to make more sense to have somebody who's involved in the inner workings to be responsible for it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we're planning to find a time to meet with the FinCom. So that will be our starting point, and we'll go from there.
And I did send the document that Doug had created to all of you.
Great. Yeah, and so how many people are on the FinCom right now? Did Doug make it just so that there's one person? One vacancy, or had there been one prior?
That I don't know.
I know there's Megan, Garrett, maybe Al and Tom.
Right. Megan,
Thomas?
Garrett,
I
there's
might be
four.
able to pull it up, actually.
Yeah, so I think that's right, Lori. So I think there are 4 that are on there now.
Okay.
Just need
So
one
that's-
more.
All right, so that's good.
Maybe
All right,
Garrett's ready to come back on as a little more of a role.
Who?
Garrett.
I mean, he's on it, right? I don't know how much
Right. Time he
yeah,
has
I
to
think
commit
he
to
does
it.
what he needs, but maybe doesn't want to do much more than that. Okay, so where are we at? We're at 7:30. And we have our interview scheduled for 8. So there was nothing more on the financial coordinator, right? All right, so we'll move on to old business.
We'll say Cynthia is here. I don't know if she can, if you want to ask, if she wants to do her interview sooner, you can ask, I suppose. But
I'd prefer to finish our other stuff first.
Yeah, me
We don't
too.
have to come back to
Okay, that
if possible. See if we
sounds
can get
good.
it done.
Okay, so grant management services, Glenn. Oh,
Yes.
yeah, that's the ARPA stuff, right?
Yep. So I had brought to you the idea of seeking some help with essentially the federal procurement issues connected to ARPA. And you asked me to do a little poking around. I had found one consultancy and spoke to the person, and she was like, this is not a match because we're going to be way too expensive for you. But in the meantime, this other person had actually reached out. So they're kind of, I guess, promoting their services, making sure people are aware that the services are available. So I forwarded you that. So they have different packages and levels, but one option for Wendell might be looking at the lowest number of hours. I think it was 10 hours a week. 10 hours total for the package of consulting, and then they're kind of on call to answer your questions, help with issues as they come up. And not easily, I'm working between the two different email systems. I think I sent that to you all. I probably sent it from the old email. Let's see.
I have it
Yeah,
in front of me if you want me to read any of it.
I'm just pulling it up because I want to see it myself.
It's HCH Enterprises. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, they have the 10-hour subscription for $19.95.
1,995.
Right. Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I can, and I don't, I don't know them. I never worked with them. I checked out their website. It looks legit. They've had, they do a lot of work in the public sector. They seem to have had a lot of, reputable clients and so on. So part of it is finding the time to do a deeper research. In some ways, it's easier to go with these folks just because they reached out. I don't know who else might be offering this. I haven't heard of anyone else. So
The one
I
thing
think-
I can't quite tell, Glenn, is if
Yeah.
it says they complete reports. Telephone consultation. I feel like what we need is guidance on whether, are we doing this how we should be in terms of spending the money? And maybe they can do that.
Yeah, it says they're available to answer questions, prepare and submit reports to all relevant government agencies. We wouldn't have to have them do that. I can submit the reports myself, conduct research, provide examples and citations. So you can say, okay, there's precedent for doing this type of thing. I don't know if we'd need that, but and offer best practices based on a continuous review of programs being administered across the country. I think that might be the most useful thing. The thing where we got into trouble with, I think, I wasn't here, but looking back at CVRF, was the guidance actually changed over time. And it's
Yeah.
hard to keep your eye on that. And I'll say you have a coordinator who's quite stretched, just trying to keep things running. So whether I can really be following all of the evolving guidance from the government and stuff, I hope to, but would be helpful sometimes just to have for example, at the money managers meeting, the question came up of we suspect that we can't really use the ARPA funds for the PFAS project because we think that we won't be able to get reimbursed from other grants, but maybe they could shed some light on that. The thing I could most use is just kind of okay, what documentation should we really be keeping on hand? I unearthed an email yesterday that I guess we submitted certain paperwork to the state for ARPA But now they're asking that same paperwork to be uploaded on the federal platform. So, maybe they know who the contact is at the state where I can call and ask for that piece of paper. These are the kinds of things that are coming up.
I know it's something I brought up, and I fully support this because I think it would benefit the town, and my understanding is that we can spend ARPA money to pay for this. And if it keeps us out of trouble, that would be a huge benefit for a fairly small amount of money. The one
Well,
question I have is with the 10-hour subscription. It says fewer than 10 projects. So a question would be, how do they determine project?
Well, we have essentially said that the project is kind of a reporting aspect. For a town of our size, essentially, we're putting it all in as one project.
Okay.
So I think that that wouldn't be a problem.
Well, I think in general, I like the idea, and I think it probably would be really helpful, and it seems like it could be money well spent. I can't remember if we were ever going to check in with Bob Dean or someone from FERCog to see either if they're doing anything like this or if they could recommend somebody who was doing this, just if we did want to look around a little more. But and also, is it something where we could invite them to a meeting like we did with Entree and sort of talk with them to get a feel for their services and that kind of thing?
I think so. I think they'll be calling tomorrow or later this week. The other thing you could do is designate one of you to hop on a call with them if you wanted to move it more quickly.
Mhm.
Or we could actually ask them to come to the money managers thing and have that be an agenda item for next week.
It's a great idea.
I also like the idea of talking to Bob Dean or somebody at the COG to get a second opinion and see if they have any comparable services to offer.
Would you like me to email Bob about that?
That would be great. I think so.
Great. Will do. Yeah, it's not great to only have one possibility. On the other hand, I don't know where else to find people who offer this kind of thing. So
Mhm.
Glenn, who was the company that said you're too small?
I don't actually remember their name. I just did a web search for, essentially government consulting and I could find it because I filled out a web form and then they got back to me by email.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that they have bigger fish to fry than Wendell. It's nice. One thing that's nice about this consulting group offering something at the $2,000 level is I think unusual for some consultancies. So it's good that they have that threshold. Okie dokie. So write to Bob Dean and see if this group might join for the money managers meeting next week.
Sounds good.
Sure, and
Okay.
maybe you can ask Bob if he knows this company, this HCH
Oh yeah,
Enterprises.
great.
And
Yeah.
other firms, if
Yeah, or if there's other firms.
Is that 1995 a one-time fee for 10 hours total, or is it a monthly or yearly or?
The way it's described is just you buy 10 hours of their time for $19.95. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess all the devil's in the details working out with them.
It mentions a subscription, so I wonder if it's like a monthly fee or something, but yeah. I
it
don't know.
says for the year.
Oh, okay.
So they probably are doing it by fiscal year. And then if you
annual
use it,
program.
if you used it all up early and you figure it out on your own or sign up for another chunk, I don't think we
Right.
would, though. I think that would be enough time.
Right. All right. Anything else on that topic? All right, we can go on to the fire chief home rule petition, which, if people remember, this is something we can do through the legislature to allow Joe to continue working as the fire chief after retirement age. And it seems like it's a pretty straightforward process. There's no guarantee that he wants to do this, but doing this process will make that possibility be there so he could choose to do it if he wanted. So it seems like a pretty straightforward process. We can do it through Joe Comerford's office. They'll get the legislation, do whatever needs to happen with it. And I think what they need us to do is the select board to vote to formally request special legislation to continue Chief Cunio's employment after the age of mandatory retirement. And then I think I've sent some examples of what the actual legislation would look like. It's sort of a very straightforward thing that many towns have done. I don't know, based from what I've looked at, I think we could probably just vote on that first thing I just said, and then we could fine tune the actual legislation later. But I can just tell you right now, pretty much, I drafted something that basically says, the gist of it is that Joe Cunio can continue to serve until, and so you can change some details of it. So the one I drafted, which I modeled after other towns, is he can continue to serve in that position until reaching the age 70, the date of his retirement, or the date he is relieved of his duties by the select board, or whichever comes first. And then I added, which again is from modeled after another town, provided, however, that he is mentally and physically capable of performing the duties of his office. And then there's another section that has to do with retirement, which I think is totally boilerplate. You have to have it in there. And I already checked with Joe and the Public Safety Committee on all of this language, and they seem fine with it. So I just wanted to see if people think we're ready to maybe take a vote on this and get this process going.
Sure.
Yes.
All right.
I could make a motion to approve the fire chief home rule petition.
I'm gonna read it out like I have it, because this is
Okay.
how Joe Comerford's office said it. So
Okay.
I'll make a motion to formally request special legislation to continue Joe Cunio's employment after the age of mandatory retirement.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 All right, thanks. And I'll send you guys this, the draft that I put together.
Thanks for doing that, Laurie.
Thank you.
Yeah, now we just have to convince him to stay.
And sorry, that was Lori moving and Dan seconded.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else? Any other questions on that? All right. IT projects is next. Is that you, Gillian? No, yeah.
Yeah, it is. So, we're underway with making some changes, and we need to do another round of email transitions to 365 from Zoho. I know, Dan, you've requested to get that moving, But you are receiving emails now, right? To the select
I
board?
believe I am. Thank you.
That's great.
Yeah.
Glenn, if you did that, thank you, thank you.
No, it just happened on its own. I think Zoho was the hang up there. It wasn't playing well with Dan's email server. So the new 365 is working better for that.
Great.
Yeah, great. Thanks to you all.
Yeah.
Good.
And the new firewall, or was that? Oh, so now I'm confused actually, because there were some old emails that were pushed out today from Zoho, and
Yeah,
they,
I unearthed an email from the assessor saying, we got this message saying that it's being held in for moderator approval. And I had never learned about this whole thing where were getting sequestered by Zoho for security reasons and needed to be manually approved by someone. But it occurred to me then that we could do our final round on Zoho of all that. So I asked Robbie to release those, and I didn't get a whole bunch of them, but you did, Gillian?
I did.
Yeah.
And so there is some confusion because the firewall isn't being installed this week, right? That's already been done.
The firewall was already installed, yeah.
Right. So I'm like, wait a minute, another fire. But good to know. That's just the additional emails got confusing.
Yeah.
So firewall was installed or coming back. They will be coming back to install a new modem router, so that we can have public access and internal access via Wi-Fi and have it be safe. So right now there's no public access to Wi-Fi in the town office building, but there will be once they install this new piece of equipment. It does mean it'll be like around $150 more, maybe a little bit more, because originally that wasn't part of the contract. And in addition, the computers that were installed at the library, it was recommended that they have a piece of software that for the public use computers that they're wiped clean every night. So no matter what's been accessed or what information's been on there, that is wiped clean and they start fresh the next time a new patron comes to use that computer. Again, that's about $150 with for the software, and then like I think it was like, I don't have it right in front of me, but like maybe $25 a year or something like that for monitoring or service, making sure it's all updated every year. So I felt like I needed to come to you because Doug was handling all of this, the IT process and the IT budget part that was with Entree, and wanted to ask if you're comfortable at least with those purchases being approved so we could go ahead, move ahead with those things. They don't seem like huge purchases and they could still come from the ARPA piece as well.
Sounds good to me.
Or we have an IT line too that they could come from.
Yeah, sounds okay to me too.
Okay, so do
So
you
is
want
it,
Glenn and
just
I
to
figure out-
clarify, are those charges per computer, 150 and
No,
20?
no, that's for the
Total.
purchase of the software for all 3 computers.
Okay, even better.
I
Sounds
think
good.
it would probably be good for the ARPA record to have, if you want the money to come from ARPA, to have a formal motion about approving the use of it for those things.
Do you want to make a motion, Gillian, or should I?
I was trying to see if I could get the name of the software real quick.
Okay.
Again, I'm working on multiple.
Probably is sufficient just to
Just to
refer
say
to
the
them.
software for the patron computers at the library, approximately $150.
And then also the $150 for the new modem.
Approximately, yeah. At the town office building.
And 25 annual.
Approximately.
Now, with that 25 annual, that'd probably be paid by library general expenses
Oh, right.
Well,
or
that's actually a whole nother
IT.
question. Of how that, I don't know how that it's determined.
But probably not ARPA because we wouldn't want to do ongoing operating expenses. Yeah.
I think it sounds like an expense that the library could certainly have within their budget. And I guess we could have a further conversation if it doesn't seem like that would work.
Yeah, I mean, they could just, they probably swing it this year, and if they, work with the finance committee for future fiscal years, if they need to increase their budget for
Mhm.
IT subscriptions like that.
Okay. I can discuss that with them because Mary and I were in conversation about it. So ongoing
Okay.
subscription from the library budget and the software purchase from ARPA and the modem from ARPA.
Okay. So you made a motion for that. I'll second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And then the IT project discussion, Glenn is taking on some role of communicating with Entree. And I guess we need to have another discussion about who's going to handle sort of the ongoing IT work. I stepped in. I don't know if it's something I can do long term. And it might be that we just need to get through this final installation phase of 365, and then we'll go from there. But are you comfortable with me trying to do that with Glenn's help at this point? And then I'll come
Totally.
back to you.
Totally.
Oh,
If
yeah.
I can't do it.
Yeah, thanks for doing that, Gillian. I do think
Absolutely.
you're doing a great job. So
Well, I did one day.
yeah,
And then a little bit of other communication, but it's
But that was quite a day, Gillian. from
that
what
was
I
a
heard.
day. That was a long day.
Oh, I wanted to ask, can you I was trying to put together in my mind what we learned about the way the chords work in there, and I lost it. Can you go over that again?
Yeah, so actually I think everybody should hear. Well,
Yeah,
the people
need to know.
who need to know should know this. So there was a confusion about many different chords going through the building. And what we discovered is that the main internet access point cord, and sorry, because my language will not be technical, there's a cord that goes from the utility room, and instead of making a direct line to the hub with all the plugs where everything
which
comes
is
from,
in the tax collector's
which is
office.
in the tax collector's office, it goes to the rear corner of the that multi-board office
Board of Health. Yeah.
and Board of Health, where there used to be satellite connections for internet. So it goes there, connects through a junction box, the cord changes color, and then goes from there to the main hub. So their recommendation is when they come back to do the modem, or somebody who's working for the town who knows how to do this, should take the cord that's going to the multi-board office and just run it directly to that hub. So it's a direct line without any junction points or anything.
Mm.
So that's another task to be done. Which Entree's
Okay.
willing to do it. It just might cost, another little bit.
Right.
Or Jim might be able to do it.
Or Jim might be able to do it.
Okay. It's good to know.
And we've removed some equipment from the utility room, like some old modems and stuff that aren't needed, and they are actually whip cities. So do we need to return those to them? Do we get a credit?
They were in the
Probably not a
utility room?
credit, but I don't know if they were in the utility room for Wi-Fi.
Yeah, we should look at them. We just got some credits from a bunch of stuff we had for the fire department.
Okay.
So,
And there's also 1 or 2 on top of the mailboxes to go back to Whip City.
right, yes, I remember those. Right. Yeah, if they're in the select board office or wherever they are, let me know, and one of the MLP folks will come get them.
Maybe we can put them all in one box in the office and then,
Yeah, that'd be good.
okay, all right. I think that's all I have for now that I can remember. Besides the grant, the IT grant, I've emailed Sean Fenn from the Collins Center in hopes that we can get that done soon. I actually don't remember the deadline for that grant. It's coming up though.
All right, good. Thank you. Okay, so now I think it's close enough to 8 o'clock that we should go back and have our interview with Cynthia. Are all in agreement?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, hi Cynthia.
Hi, can
I
you hear me?
hope you've enjoyed watching the exciting meeting.
Didn't fall asleep?
It's very interesting, really is. I am excited to join a group that's service oriented. I don't know if Glenn has said too much about me, but I do have background in volunteer service on a nonprofit board. And we ran into each other at the annual meeting a couple of weeks ago, and then we were chatting, yada, yada, what are you doing? And he said, I said, I'm looking for something part-time. Not full-time, because I'm kind of like done with high pressure full-time work. But this seemed like it might be a good fit once he described it. So I don't know if you want to ask me questions or if I should just chatter on. But
Well, we probably won't have too many questions for you, but I don't know if we want to do official introductions too. I am Laurie DiDonato. I'm the chair of the select board. We have 2 other select board members here. They can introduce themselves.
I'm Gillian Bedine, and I'm a select board member.
Hi,
And I'm Dan Keller, and I'm a select board member for many years.
good to meet you.
Good to
Good
meet
to
you
meet
too.
you all.
Yeah, and you already started saying this, but I think one of my questions to start off was just to, give us a little bit of your qualifications and why you're interested in the job. And I have seen your resume, which is very impressive. So, but you can tell us in your own words.
Why? I've been looking, if you saw my resume, you saw I have a background in copy editing, and most recently for 6 years for a media publishing company on basically the news copy desk, which is like pretty high pressure, 45-minute deadline kind of, how many stories can you edit and push through publication kind of thing. And that's exciting when you're first starting out, but after 20 years in the business, it gets a little old. And COVID came along and my whole copy team within the space of 3 weeks was let go. They obviously decided that they had to save money somehow, and they could do without editing from a copy desk, and they shoved that job back onto the site editors, poor things. But after that, it's been almost 2 years now, and it was so nice not working, I tell you. So I just recently said, oh, I gotta do something, not a lot. And because this is a little job, and I don't think it's something that I have to depend upon for a living. I from what Glenn said, the salary is not huge. It just fit right in. I have taken a job or two since I left the news company, but they were more like for mission-driven organizations. One was fun. It was a crowd-funded organization. They're putting on an animated short, and I had to sign a non-disclosure agreement, so I can't even tell you what it was about. But
Wow.
basically, it's a group of young people who are doing something new with animation, and they were pitching their investors, and they had this presentation, and they needed help with it, and they needed somebody to show them basically how to technically edit through Google Docs and move around in that environment. And it was fun because they just were so engaged. But that lasted only a couple of months, and that's been it. So this looked like a nice thing to do. As I said, I'm drawn to mission-driven companies. I'm through with corporate America. As far as profit comes before everything, and I guess I'm engaged by having people, working with people who are working towards a common cause. I get the impression from the meetings I looked at, and I did look at quite a few of your meetings, that you are all doing other things, very busy people wearing a couple of different hats, and just doing this because you believe that it's a job that needs to be done. So I'd like to give it a shot. I do have questions, but they're more like, what medium do you use? How much detail you want in the minutes? I know Glenn sent me a copy of the minutes, but like, I know you have to, from being a clerk, you have to write down the motions, but even that, on the sample minutes I got, the wording of the motion, is that something that you would give me, or you would expect me to type that up as you're talking? Or when somebody gives a report, is there something written that comes through later, or I'm supposed to capture the highlights? So those are the kind of like detailed things that I would be interested in hearing about.
Well, a quick answer to one of your questions was sort of answered tonight in our meeting, because when a motion was made, it was a select board member making a motion, and it wasn't always ironed out the first time around. It had to maybe be adjusted a little bit, and then finally we made a motion. At that point, the clerk would have to write that down. It would not be submitted in writing. It would be made at the meeting.
Okay.
But it could be very clear and simple at the meeting.
Okay.
And we do record, we are starting to record every meeting. So if anything, you feel like you don't get it, the first time around, you can check the recording. And
Right.
then, of course, the minutes are then checked by us and we vote to approve them at the next meeting. So if there's ever something that needs to be corrected, then we can do it through that process.
Excellent, excellent. I had a couple of observations. The meetings I attended for 10 years had the same kind of atmosphere, but your issues are quite different. So I'll be learning. There are acronyms that you use all the time. I said, what's that? What's that? So, now I know what
Well,
the
just ask.
DPU is, and now I know what Concom is, and now I know what New Leaf Energy is, and Chapter 61. But all of that's new to me. So as someone who hasn't been involved in town issues, I would need somebody to hold my hand, basically. And if I had a question during the meeting, of course I can listen to a recording, but sometimes it's a little easier to ask right then. If it's not clear to me and I want to write something down, can I write something in the chat to one particular person and say, what are you talking about? Just to get some clarification.
Sure. I think you can ask a question in the meeting and that's fine. And as far as the acronyms go, just ask. No problem.
I think sometimes, right, when we get on a roll and we use those acronyms, sometimes it helps other people out too, is that if we spell it out.
Yep.
and
Okay.
clarify.
And I would be
Um,
available to the recording secretary also for, as you're working on them, if something comes up, if you have a question or, the town coordinator is available to help with that stuff as well.
Well, thank you, Glenn. The other thing I'm used to doing is working in either Word or Google Docs. When I was on the board of the nonprofit Row Conference Center, we worked in Google Docs all the time and we did it live. I don't know if that's, what's your comfort zone? In other words, does the recording secretary just use Word and take the minutes and send it off to somebody for approval? Or do you work in Google Docs and people are looking at what you're writing?
No,
That's
the
what's
people
going
aren't,
on.
yeah. I can just say as the person who's currently taking notes, my process has been to work in Word. When they're ready, I'll email the select board and so in Word is probably the best. Then you can make edits when you need to and all that. But you could also do it in Google Docs. I don't know if I don't know if the select board would be comfortable just getting a link to the minutes, but if you want to work in Google Docs and download it into a Word document and email it to them, that probably would work best.
Yeah,
There are,
I second that. I'm not a fan of Google Docs. I much prefer Word, but I'm just one member. And I can work with Google if necessary.
I'll put in my preference for Word too.
Great.
oh, good.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
I actually save all my Word minutes to a Google Drive. So it doesn't matter if it's in Word or a Google Doc.
Yeah.
Okay, I just meant when we worked in Google Docs, we did it live during the meeting, and that tends, to tell you the truth, to be confusing because
Yeah,
a lot of hands.
definitely confuses
So
me.
multiple people, I would definitely not be typing anything during a meeting.
No.
I can help it.
Great, great, great. And what's your turnaround time for having the minutes done, typed up and sent on after the meeting.
Well, we meet every 2 weeks, so it's nice to have the minutes at least a couple days before that, so we have time to review it before the next meeting.
Oh, you guys are so easy. Oh, that's
Well,
wonderful.
I would actually request the minutes a few days after the meeting.
Yeah.
If that could
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah, the
That's-
earlier the better, but and every time I make that request, it doesn't mean I get to them, and read them
Well,
until right before the next meeting.
can I say like, I think 2 days after, something like that?
That's good for
Sounds
me.
great.
It's
Yeah.
because then it's fresh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
that would be great. Thank you.
So the one thing I just want to discuss quickly, because it's on my mind,
Mhm.
is if for some reason we have technological difficulties and we're unable to record the meeting,
Mhm.
we're unable to have you attend virtually, I think then we'll probably have to rely on a backup of somebody at the meeting taking the minutes and then, move on to the next time, because this is something that you're only able to do virtually,
Right,
right?
right. Okay, that's sure.
We seem to have been pretty stable, but
Zoom had an outage. I have my own Zoom Pro account for other reasons. They had an outage for about 45 minutes last Thursday for the first time in like 2 years. They're pretty stable, but it can happen. Yeah. Okay.
And can I
and-
ask,
Go
or
ahead.
Cynthia, just is this meeting time a good time for you? Or because we had talked about the possibility of maybe you not even needing to come to the meetings at the time and maybe just working from the recording. But we did want to check with open meeting law rules about that. But does this meeting time work for you? Would you want to be coming to the live meetings?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's really much, much better because
All right,
if I
great.
have a question in real time, I can ask it.
That's right. Right.
Sometimes a recording just doesn't do it. And then it takes more time to look at the recording all over again and
Mm-hmm.
try to find the answer than just to be there. So
Okay. Good.
I'd always want to attend live.
Great. Did you have any more questions, Cynthia?
Oh, sure.
Go
But,
for it.
those are like, okay, maybe we'll take you out for a spin and give you a try. And that's one of the questions, is a probationary period, if you guys would be comfortable with it, whatever, a month or two. And if it doesn't work out, I don't know what your HR department, if you have one, would say, what is the manual employee handbook? That's what I'm trying to reach for. It says about that, but I'd be perfectly fine with that. And paperwork would be, I would think that you'd want to send me even just an email saying, okay, you have a job, here's what it pays, and these numbers of hours, kind of like something in writing.
Right. Yes, we do have Carolyn, who is our HR department, on the call. But yeah, in terms of, it is a salaried position, so I'm not sure if there's any issues with probationary. I don't know, Carolyn can, but it will certainly, we're going to discuss this later on in the meeting to figure out
Okay.
next steps, and we would certainly be sending you all those details.
Okay.
And make sure it's all clear. Does anyone have other questions?
Cynthia, did I understand that you would not be available for in-person meetings if that ever comes to pass?
No, not unless,
Cynthia's in upstate New
not
York.
more
right?
than
Cynthia?
once a year, since I
Okay.
live about 4 hours, four.
Yeah, I didn't
Hours
understand
away.
your location, but
Yeah.
now I do.
So that's one question I feel like we do have to clarify is,
Mm.
just to make sure with open meeting laws that if we have somebody attending, because we can continue to have hybrid meetings with the owl if we're meeting in person and we have the owl that does the recordings, she could always participate that way. But
Yeah, so I think, I mean, we haven't fully discussed it, select board, but my impression has been that when you do want to move back to in-person meetings, you're going to want to have the owl, which is the camera that allows for remote, a better remote experience. So we would just hook up the owl and then Cynthia could attend virtually while you met in person.
Yes.
put that,
And I did email Bob Dean about because I know that Cynthia's preference is to attend the meetings in person, but I did email Bob to ask about whether there's any problem with people taking notes when they're not in attendance at the meeting. Haven't heard back from him. He was on vacation, I think, when I sent the message, so I can follow up.
And it sounds like you have reliable internet connection and all that, Cynthia.
Yeah, I do. I've been working remotely since 2007. Never had a problem with an outage here.
Right. We're new to that here in Wendell. We just got high-speed internet a couple of years ago.
I just had somebody tell me today that when they moved to the area, and I think it was about 5 years ago, that they looked at a house in Wendell, but they didn't take it because they didn't have good internet or any internet.
Mhm.
Oh,
Mhm.
Yeah,
I said
think
it's
you'll see
different
real
now.
estate
It's all changed.
prices start to rise with the internet for sure.
Now ours is better than in the cities.
oh. I know small towns in Massachusetts have had, well, all over the country have had the same problem with high-speed internet, and the town where my nonprofit is in Row had the same problem, and I think they solved it by the town did by forming their own company
Yeah,
and
that's
then
what we did.
putting in, yeah, that's what you did too. Okay.
Yeah.
And then putting in high-speed internet, and it took months, but that was only 2 years ago that they did that.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, it's happening all over.
yeah. But I'm in New York City, and I've got a fiber optic connection, and it hasn't ever been a problem.
Great.
Except my camera, for the first time, I might need to get a new one. I see lines in it. I must have dropped it too many times. I'll have to check into that. They're not very expensive, but that's concerning. I haven't seen that before. So it's not the connection, it's the
problem.
hardware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from anyone? For Cynthia? Or Cynthia for us?
No, I assume you'll talk about it later, and I'll get back to me whenever you've made a decision.
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
sure we'll get back to you very soon.
Okay. If that's it, do I sign off then? It was nice meeting everybody.
It was
and
very
I
nice
know-
meeting you.
I know it sounds strange, because a meeting
Yes.
with business going on can sound dry, but
Thank you,
I
Cynthia.
like it. I just,
Good,
I'm
good.
interested, and I hope I can be of use. Let's put it that way.
Well, we
Thanks for
definitely
coming.
need, yes, we need someone. So thank you for your interest and we'll definitely get back to you soon.
Okie dokie.
And you are welcome to stay on until we have our executive session later on.
Oh,
we have
okay.
A little more
Thank you.
business to attend to, I think, before we switch over to that.
Okay, I'll just mute myself and go back to a still picture. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's great meeting
Take
you.
care.
Good to see you, Cynthia.
Okay, so yeah, we're still at 8:20, really early. We could go over the rules of procedure or the code of conduct. Do people want to do that? We have rules of procedure up next. Probably have to dig it up.
And the code of conduct, which one do we want to do first? Rules of procedure? You want to take that away, Glenn? Or Doug? I mean, oh my gosh. I think I'm starting to get tired. Dan?
Yeah, I'm okay going into this right now or moving it to another meeting, either way. But at some point, we should probably go through them piece by piece, or maybe just look at the whole thing as a package. I'm
Where
not
are we
sure.
in the status of it? People have shared their feedback with you, Dan, and do people are there substantive areas of concern or that need to be ironed out, or are people okay with starting with what you have?
Or would people like to, on their own, review the rules, rule by rule, and get back to me with suggested changes or thoughts or corrections, and then we can bring it up later?
I felt like I did that.
Yeah, I might have done it too, but it might be worth going back because we keep taking a break from it and I sort of need
Okay.
to be reminded.
Well, another process possibility, you could meet in a special meeting and kind of suspend the normal rules of order and essentially workshop it together. It seems like it is difficult. It's important and difficult to get to kind of at the end of a meeting. So that's
Yes.
another possible process point. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a
We-
bad idea to have a special meeting for just that.
Yeah, I kind of like that idea too, because I feel like then that's what we're coming to the meeting for. With
Yeah.
that in
Mhm,
mind.
mhm.
And
Maybe even in person.
maybe even, yes, that would be fine.
With the owl.
The owl, right. We do need to
We could
start
pilot the
practicing that.
owl thing. Been piloted, but you guys could do, it would be your first time doing it. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I did send off to Tom Richardson a note about meeting with the FinCom. And he says that that Megan just went on vacation for 2 weeks.
Oh,
Mm.
So that we're probably looking at pushing that meeting down into the 3-week area.
Okay.
Okay,
That
so
would be-
then that affects the grant thing as well, because we were thinking of having them come to interview next week.
we could go ahead and do it and have a preliminary interview and feel like if we really can't make a decision without FinCom, then
I mean,
we could wait.
does that mean they're not meeting at all while she's gone? I mean, because the FinCom could make a decision without her, something minor, if needed. I don't know if they're not meeting though.
I don't know. He just suggested pushing it off for a couple of weeks
Yeah.
if we could do it.
So maybe I'll ask for those folks to see if they can come to the October 5th meeting for a brief interview with you all. Doesn't seem worth trying to get everyone together for an extra meeting just for that.
That sounds good. Okay, do we want to set a meeting for the rules of procedure now, or do we want to wait on that?
I think it would be good to get a date.
All right, do we want it to be an evening meeting, or are there other times that people are available? I can be available afternoons often.
Me too.
I could possibly be, depending on the day, be available after 3.
You ever have a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday after 3, Gillian?
All depends on the day. So pick a day and I'll let you know.
So let's see, I would need to post, I don't know if we want to try to do this next week or when.
Next week might be, oh, well, I'm not sure it's so good for me, actually.
Okay,
Not good for you, Dan?
Probably not. I know I'm actually going to be traveling, I think, quite a bit next week. So
oh
maybe the weekend.
gosh. Oh, I'm just realizing your meeting is on Yom Kippur on October 5th. Not a problem for me, but that's not good form really to have public meetings on a major holiday.
Right.
Anyway, but that said, I could meet on Tuesday for the special meeting, Tuesday, October, well, just back, actually, take that back. I'll be Thursday, October 6th at 3.
Did you want to do it on a Thursday? Glenn?
Thursdays are hard for me.
Oh, they
Okay.
are, okay.
I work till 4.
I could come in on Thursday or Friday that week because I'm going to be out for the Monday. So what about Friday the 7th?
I could be available after 3.
I could do 3 or after 3.
Me too.
We do 3:30.
Yep, Friday,
Yeah, I can just make sure.
Friday, October 7th, 3:30 p.m. Block out maybe, I don't know, an hour and a half.
Yeah, it shouldn't be more
Yeah.
than an hour and a half.
We do that and review the Wendell Code of Conduct that we have in place.
Well, I
Yep.
have a question about the code of conduct. And maybe if Carolyn's listening in, if she might make her way to the Zoom, but we're in the middle of the personnel policy review. And I don't know if Carolyn, are you seeing the code of conduct as part of the personnel policy process?
Well, actually, if the select board, wants to decide or approve a code of conduct, because they ultimately approve the whole thing anyway, I think it would be great as a standalone townwide policy, but that it should be attached to and included with the personnel policy when it's distributed to people. So I think it should, be available individually and as part of the policy. But I don't know that it's necessary for the Personnel Policy Review Committee to hash out the details.
Okay,
I believe that the current code of conduct that we have was approved by the select board already.
yeah,
Right. I think you're right. I think it just, because it's just been a standalone policy,
Mhm.
it kind of got shuffled to the bottom of the pile, so to speak.
Okay.
And so I think that if it becomes included with the personnel policy, it will be a little more, people will be more aware.
I agree. Okay.
Mhm.
so it sounds like that could start essentially effective immediately, including the code of conduct when people receive a copy of the personnel policy. And And then the select board can take a fresh look at it and see if there are any revisions you all want to make to the existing draft.
I like
Can
that.
I say one other thing about its distribution? It's always hard to establish the mechanics of anything, but I think it would be an excellent policy that after every election, I don't care whether you're newly elected or if you're elected for the 15th time,
Mhm.
I think every newly elected or appointed person should be given a copy of this policy. Like with their appointment slip or with when they go in to get sworn in. I mean, that would involve having the town clerk be on board. So we'd have to ask her about it, but I think, it's just like the ethics that everyone's required to take. I think,
Right,
Yeah.
and I wonder if there's a process that, maybe we should bring Anna in on it, but where when people go to get sworn in, that they put their signature beside a list of the things that they need to agree to or something, that they've been sworn in, that they've, agreed to the code of conduct, that they have completed the ethics. Ask her the best process, but
Be great if we could do it digitally too.
well,
Right.
and it should be on the website, it should
Yeah,
also
I
be on the
Just to
website.
avoid printing out stuff that people are probably never gonna look at, that might never look at. If we had a digital copy that somebody had to sign it and say, yes, I've looked at it, that would be cool.
which maybe with our new website and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Put something into place like that. And then especially if Anna or somebody received a digital confirmation that it's been signed. That would be nice.
Yeah. But at minimum, we can do exactly what you're saying, Carolyn, to start out, I think, talk to Anna and see how that would work. Okay, so I think we're in agreement that sort of how we want the code of conduct to be distributed, and we can look it over and discuss at that same meeting if there's changes that need to be made. And we've set that meeting. So shall we, are we ready to move on to topics not anticipated? Which I know there was the Wood Bank letter. Oh,
And I just want to touch base about the newsletter.
all right. Okay. Go ahead.
I don't know if you saw the draft of the newsletter that I sent out, on if there were other things besides the town meeting that you wanted under the select board section, and if there were particular topics of discussion or topics that were going to be at that special town meeting that I should list. Do we have a sense yet?
I've been capturing the things that people have been sending in. So I haven't actually fully reviewed the things that people have sent me. But I could work on giving you a couple of sentences. Some of it seems like the kind of pro forma stuff that needs to happen, basic budget things. But there is one thing from. Does anyone know what it is from the schools that they've asked to be put on? I haven't looked at the language. I just filed it, to be honest, but there's something from Mahar, I think, that we need to put on.
Oh,
So.
right.
But other than that, and are we going to do something at town meeting related to the Swift River? Possibly, probably.
Yeah, I think we definitely wanted to get money out of stabilization for that.
And the schedule would have us talking about that at the October 5th meeting. What do you all want to do about the October 5 landing on Yom Kippur?
What have you done in the past, Dan and Lori?
I honestly don't think that we've taken it into account, unfortunately. I don't remember ever discussing it.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Oh, what do you want to do about the next select board meeting landing on Yom Kippur?
Oh. Yeah, that is a tough question.
Do you want to look at the schedule that week and reschedule, putting it on the meeting on Thursday? The Tuesday is also part of the holiday. Tuesday night is part of the holiday. Or the
Go to
third.
Thursday.
So we could do Thursday and that would be okay. I could do that.
I think I can. Thursday the 6th.
That also means that I could do the posting of the meeting on the 4th when I get back.
Yeah, might be a good thing.
I can do the 6th.
So
All
we're
right.
talking about Thursday, the 6th at 7 o'clock.
Yep, instead of
Yes.
Wednesday the 5th. Yep.
Okay with me.
Okay, let's do that.
So that came up because, I'm sorry, I went down a tangent there. I don't remember where we were, how we got
We
on.
were still talking about the newsletter in this
Oh, that's
special
right.
town meeting.
Okay, so that's right. So the October 5 was the meeting where you all are meant to approve the warrant, which essentially means it'll be, or at least the items that will be on it. So next week will be the week to kind of for me to get that list to you, but I'll also can get Gillian kind of a summary of anything of note. But I guess part of it is, yeah, I guess there will be a little bit of work in the next period figuring out exactly what you want on the warrant related to the Swift River School.
Right, and we'll probably need the FinCom to help us a little bit, maybe. Unless Dan, you
Not
think you know
available
what
for the
what it
next 2
needs.
weeks.
Well, just Megan, right? I think we're gonna definitely have to figure out another point person, like Thomas. But Dan, I don't know if Dan, you feel like you could draft a warrant for that. I mean, we probably all could if we just looked at old articles, but just
Yeah,
taking,
the article isn't difficult. The price is not quite nailed down at this point, I don't think. So we'll
right,
wait for that.
right. I
Would
think we'll have
you-
to estimate.
Yeah, would you put in a kind of a placeholder in case you had a number by the time of the meeting, or, and then you could potentially like pass over it and then schedule another one if you didn't have the information by the end of October?
Oh, no, we'll have a number. Well,
I think
you
we
will.
just
Okay.
need to overestimate, right? Just to make
Yeah.
sure you have enough. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Great.
Okay.
Is there anything
Yeah.
else you want me to put under the select board section?
So when is the next newsletter coming out then? Just to give my, this is September.
Early October, I think is that when you're hoping to do it, Gillian?
Early October sounds too early.
Okay.
No, so when, this one will just go out within the next week or two, or,
Within
then the
week.
next newsletter will probably be December or January?
January.
Oh, I was referring to this one. Okay, so that we had kind of the schedule I think we announced was deadline of September 15th for early October newsletter, but maybe you'll be ready before then, Gillian.
It's pretty much ready to go with just, I just heard that the assessors might want to put something in.
So you are still taking things?
I will
This
still
is
take
what-
it. If I know something's coming, I'll hold off on sending it. But it really is pretty much, it worked really well with Christine sort of organizing everything, and then I just put it into a format that I had already. So it didn't take me more than half an hour. So if anybody has anything else, I can hold off and we can send at the beginning of next week.
So do you think then, so this is why I'm thinking, like, there are so many, a handful of things probably, maybe not that much, have come up in the last couple weeks, which I hadn't been thinking about.
Mhm.
So I'm just wondering when, if waiting till the next newsletter would be okay or not. So you think that one will come out in January?
Yeah, really, it would be something that's sort of time sensitive that we want out, like reminding people.
Right, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Letting people know about the meeting. Or if there's positions or boards or committees that we want to, try to recruit for, or big projects that we want to let people know about.
Mm-hmm.
Get ready for snow, icy roads, and power outages.
Well, that's exactly that's exactly it. That kind of thing. But
Right.
I don't have it, I don't have something
I
prepared.
mean, actually, it would be nice. I don't want to ask Phil right now, but it would be nice if we had a little bit of something from the DPW about that. Rich retired, and
Right.
Alan
right.
Frost is currently the interim, and just so people have some information about that. If anybody's willing to write something up, just a couple, even just something brief.
I mean, you could ask Bill. Maybe.
I mean, I could ask him if he's up for it, and if not, it's okay to say I pass.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I think I'll just say that everything that's good.
Oh, and actually, there's elections in November.
Oh, yes.
I should prompt Anna again if Glenn, do you have did you do a second reminder?
Yeah.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just send a couple notes to key people to say.
Want to get your items in under the wire.
Now's the time.
You could, I wonder, I'm trying to remember about the letter that we sent to Rich, whether that's something where you could grab to put in the newsletter. Better coming from Phil.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, if you think of something, let me know, and I'll hold off till Monday. Okay.
Okay. All right. So, any other unanticipated items?
Yeah, the Wood Bank letter. I guess.
So he didn't actually give you a draft of a letter. He just said, write a letter with this sort of general idea behind it.
Yeah, he's writing a grant for the Wood Bank with the select board, write a letter of support. But I don't even know what he's applying for. I don't know if you have a process of approving when people apply for grants on behalf of the town or anything like that.
I mean, I think we've all said we like the idea of a wood bank.
Yeah, been talking about it.
I feel like I have a concern that I mean, I know we're working on a spot, but we don't have it yet. We still have a pile of wood that needs to be moved from one spot where it was already put.
That's
I don't
kind
know
of
if
a,
we have a plan for that yet.
that's
Um,
kind of a separate issue from the wood bank, though. We're trying to tease those out a little bit, right?
Well, it was wood for the wood bank. Originally, that was the
Oh.
thought, but, and I guess more information about the grant. When is it due? Who's the application to? Yeah, I guess.
And was there a deadline that he said?
No. And, he didn't respond to my email inviting him to this meeting or,
No, it just says I'm working on submitting an application of intent to apply for a grant for our town's wood bank.
oh, it's just an application of intent.
A
Well-
signed letter of support. I mean, we could say that we can support the intent, but I guess I would like him to come back and have a conversation about process and more details about.
Yeah, I would like more detail, and it would be great if he could meet with us on it,
Mhm.
or at least communicate about some of the details to one of us and talk about it at the next meeting.
Right.
Okay,
So that's the request
So-
from the select board.
yeah, I can let him know that.
So does that mean we're not gonna sign, we're not gonna do a letter?
I thought I thought I heard that you were interested in the letter of intent, given that it is, so a letter of support for the letter of intent. Given that that is the level that it's at, it's not really even applying for the grant yet.
Well, I'm fine writing a very quick, simple letter of endorsement for the intent, If that's what you want to do, that's okay with me.
And then letting him know that to proceed with the grant, though, he needs to come
Yeah,
meet with us and also share information about what the grant is. And
yeah. And the plan.
right. It's even hard to write a letter of intent if you don't know who the grant
Yeah.
is to.
It is.
Are you
Right, I mean,
out
it
to
would be
him,
something
Dan?
very general, and I guess we could just, Dan, if you're willing, you could write something very general and send it to him and say, this is what we're gonna do. Is this okay? Because otherwise we need more details. And so is this something that all the whole full select board would be signing? Is that the idea, do you think, or just?
Or can we give permission to Dan to send it?
Yeah, I bet if you made a motion to approve Dan sending a letter on behalf of the select board to support the letter of intent for the wood bank, that would work.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
Sounds like I'm being railroaded, but I'll go on with it.
You offered, Dan. You offered.
I don't know about that. Let's listen to the recording.
Instant replay.
Maybe the I'm willing to do a letter of intent was as a group, not an I.
Was it?
Maybe it was a we, not an
Don't
I.
let us force you to do anything, Dan.
Well, I can write a letter and then we can leave it for Lori to sign as the chair. How's that?
Okay.
Okay. That's fine too.
All right.
Okay.
Friendly amendment accepted, apparently.
Yeah,
Friendly amendment accepted.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, anything else? All right, so I think now we will be moving to our executive session.
All right, we're not done.
So let's see here. I am going to make a motion that we enter an executive session to discuss the reputation, character, physical condition. It's gonna say competence of an individual or complaint, that's what it is, brought against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual and to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel. And that we will not come back into open session after executive session.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Hi.
I,
Okay, so Josh and Carolyn, we will ask you to leave.
You want Carolyn to stay? I think might be useful.
Oh, yeah. Do we have to make a motion to let Carolyn stay, or how does that work?